Welcome back to consecutive day 1002 of a diary of a Runpreneur. And today I want to talk to you about we really are in a recession and how it's affecting others. So please give this a subscribe, share, like and comment, as the more people we get in front of, the more money we raise on my fundraising mission to save the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon. All the information about the challenge and how you can get involved is in the link in the comments below. Thank you as always, and let's get started. So, consecutive day 1002 of the diary of a Runpreneur. And today I want to talk to you about the fact that we really are in a recession and how we often realise, or we often don't realise, how it affects others. So, the reason for this topic is today is Monday. I genuinely meet with one of my accountability partners and we scrutinise our goals, put in plans for the coming week, and then reevaluate what happened last week and continually this cycle to ensure that we're all moving forwards, we're doing what the most important things are, and we're helping one another. And it dawned on me today really when I was chatting to one of my accountability partners, and they have a big business. I mean, this business is kind of 12 million turnover level, or it has been as high as that in the past, and significant business. And what it dawned on me today is that we all kind of get caught up in our own bubbles. We are in a recession, cost of living crisis, all these types of things, and we have our own battles to fight in our own businesses, and I'm no different. There's plenty of battles I'm fighting in my existing business or new potential businesses on a daily basis, and I've talked a lot about this over the past few weeks, but today primarily the focus was on one of my accountability partners' businesses, and what it became abundantly clear was the impact the recession is having on businesses all around the world. And obviously it has an impact on, not all around the world, because obviously recession in the UK is generally primarily going to affect businesses in the UK, but ultimately what happens in America has a knock-on effect to what happens over in the UK and has a ripple effect around the world. So in some capacity it will be affecting other countries as well, but we get caught up in our own little national bubble, if you like. But ultimately, depending on what industry you're in, if you're in an industry of necessity products or services, i.e. shelter, food, kind of heat, water, these types of bog standard essentials, you're generally relatively insulated because they are necessity, they're a requirement. But if you're in a sector that is more luxury based or not necessity, which the vast majority of products and services will generally fall in, then these are the areas that people cut back on when recession hits, when people start feeling the squeeze on their financial circumstances. And this particular business we're talking about, I'm not going to go into too many details because of its personal and confidential information. However, the cut and thrust of it is the revenue figures have been consistently dropping. And the issue that we'd established is that the person who's running this business, not necessarily the accountability partner I'm dealing with, but the person who's managing this business hasn't picked up on the warning signs which were available to see months ago. And as a result, there's going to be a crisis meeting this week to rectify the situation and make some pretty radical changes. And we worked through, it was an interesting conversation because we worked through a pretty robust plan to not only salvaging the situation. The reality is if the business carried on its consistent run rate or burn rate, to say the least, then we're talking about a 3-month financial runway before cash dries up and you start missing creditor commitments, etc., which is a horrendous experience. I've been there before, and occasionally we come up against cash flow challenges even now, and it's horrible to deal with. And but 3 months is 3 months, and the problem is, in the bigger the business, generally the more resistance to change you encounter, and genuinely the longer it takes to turn it around. If you use the analogy of a small little speedboat of a micro business owner or micro entrepreneur, then solopreneur, etc., then you can pivot and change direction really, really easily. When you're in a big business that turns over millions of pounds, and you've also got multiple overheads, big commitments, financial commitments on a monthly basis, it's like a massive, great big freight carrier or aircraft carrier ship that takes an age to return. It's like turning the Titanic. So 3 months is a very short space of time for a business of that size. And we looked at basically ways in which you could either increase revenue, B, increase gross margin, and C, reduce overhead. And we kind of formalised a few points and strategies that could be adopted. But ultimately, one of the key issues or challenges that this business had, massive fixed overhead of labour that's not direct labour costs. It's all in the overheads. And when revenue drops, even if the gross margins stay consistent, if you've got a massive proportion of your costs sitting in your overheads, it's going to have a huge impact on the business. The second thing that was identified was the inefficiency in the gross margin, the cost of sale, and ultimately it was identified that there was a huge number of product lines that the business was focusing on, when 80% of the revenue was basically created by 50 of 2,500 product lines. So instantly driving efficiency and reducing cost of sales is focusing on the highest performing product lines, and focusing around those. It can reduce lead times, it could improve revenue on the basis that lead times are reduced, because people, biggest off-putter, if that's the right phrase, for people is when they have to wait for their product or service, and the lead times are just too long in this business. So we identified how you could potentially also move a significant proportion of the labour overhead to be linked to cost of sale. That way, if the revenue drops, then the labour resource drops. So looking at temporary staff, part-time staff, reducing the labour workforce. Nobody wants to lose jobs, but if you could link it to revenue and profit, then it's if revenue and profit goes down, your labour costs go down. It makes complete sense. If you've got a fixed overhead and your revenue and profit goes down, you're still committed to servicing an unsustainable cost on your overhead lines. So it was really interesting having these conversations, because I think we've got a really robust plan, not only to greatly improve the efficiency, and what we identified was, the company could possibly shrink its revenue down to maybe 30 or 40% of where it is today, and it'd be more profitable. So why would you take on all of the stress, anguish, challenges of a much bigger business where you're more profitable at a smaller size? So I'll keep you posted on how this develops, because it's something that I'm going to be working on quite closely with this individual over the coming weeks to ensure not only survival, but stability and sustainable growth and a more exciting, vibrant business opportunity in the future. So I'm interested to see how this pans out, but I do think today's conversations could potentially have saved a business and hopefully turn it into a more profitable one, a more dynamic business with huge potential to grow. So I think the moral to the story is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, or cash flow is sanity. And this is a prime example of big revenue figures but small profits, and by actually taking a reduction in revenue or a reduction in costs, you can have a smaller business operation, much more profitable, much more efficient. And it's something that is a lot of work for this individual ahead, but over the next 3 months it's a journey I'll be helping them with to hopefully turn things around and to flourish once again into a phenomenal business that it once was. So anyway, that's it for me today. Any questions or comments, drop me a line, I'll respond to everyone. Please do remember to give this a subscribe, share, like and comment, as the more people we get in front of, the more money we raise on my fundraising mission to save the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra marathon. All the information about the challenge and how you can get involved is in the link in the comments below. Thank you as always, stay positive, stay happy, I'll see you again tomorrow.